Hakadosh, Boker Or, Bekiim Bahalacha for day 1. We're starting Baruch Hashem Hilchot Tefillin. This is going to be Siman Kaf Hey. So this is going to be a preface. This is the introduction. Hilchot Tefillin. Amongst the 613 mitzvot of the Torah, we have the mitzvah of the Tefillin, which is very familiar for all the Jews. Obviously, we know when we become a bar mitzvah, we come and we put on the Tefillin Shel Yad, the Tefillin Shel Rosh. It's repeated in the Torah 4 different times, and that's why obviously we're going to have the 4 boxes and the 4 of everything. והיה לך לאות על ידך וזיכרון בניך ולמען תהיה תורת השם מפיך ובחזקה הוציאך השם ממצרים והיה לך לאות על ידך וטובה בניך כי בחוזק יד הוציאנו השם ממצרים וקשרתם לאות על ידך על ידיך והיו טובה בניך וקשרתם אותם לאות על ידכם והיו טובה בניכם. So these are 4 different times. Obviously this is going to be, by the way, the Kadeshli ויחי ויחה Shema, which is going to be the Vavta, and Vayayim Shamuan. That's why we have these 4 in the Parashiyot. How many mitzvot do the tefillin include? Meaning, at the end of the day, you have the mitzvah, but you have a tefillin shel yad and tefillin shel rosh. So how many mitzvot? The Talmud Mesechet Menachot Daf Mem Daled says Rav Sheshat. Anybody who does not done tefillin shel right is going to be over on 8 mitzvot aseh. The Rambam ruled as well that he transgresses 8 mitzvot, explaining that the Torah commands us in 4 different places about the tefillin shel yad and tefillin shel rosh. So it's 8, 4 and 4. Rashi explained it from a different perspective. His position is that the Tefillin scrolls contain 4 passages from the Torah, and there's a separate mitzvah to done each of the passages on one's arms. So it's 4 separate mitzvot to done each of the passages on one's head. When counting the 630 mitzvot, however, Tefillin count as 2 in that list. This is because the Rambam explained in his preface to the 7 mitzvot that although the Torah might repeat one mitzvah several times, it's just showing the importance. But really, be'emet, it's only one of the 613 of the mitzvot. The Shut, Binyan Sion, pointed out that the Rambam ruled that if a Kohen fails to bless the congregation, right, that means he doesn't do Birkat Kohanim. So he transgresses 1 mitzvah taseh, just like, right, which is akin to transgressing 3 mitzvot taseh. So the Rambam's ruling is the mitzvah tefillin should have ruled that the Kohen only transgresses 3 mitzvot, not just that it's akin to 3 mitzvot. After all, it's the same thing. So another point that also brought up is the fact that the Rambam did not record the consequence of failing to fulfill the mitzvah mezuzah or that of tzitzit. In these cases, one transgresses 2 mitzvot or 5 mitzvot, right, by the tzitzit or by the mezuzah, as the Gemara says in the very same passage. So the reader is invited to read the discussion in Sion. Why exactly? Meaning, why is it that dafka by tefillin does the Rambam say if I'm vatel, he's going to be over on so many averot, right? On like being vatel mitzvah taseh, and they don't do that by mezuzah, they don't do that by tzitzit. What's going on? Okay, fine. But now, is it 1 mitzvah or 2 mitzvot? Because you have on the arm and on the head. You're right on the passages, on every single parasha. And we know that you have 4 parashiyot in the head, 4 parashiyot on the arm. But what is the arm and the hand? Is that going to be 1 mitzvah or 2? So the Rambam counts tefillin placed on the head as the 12th mitzvah, and on the arm, the 13th mitzvah. His proof is that the Gemara says that if someone is missing one of the sets of tefillin, he should put on the other one. The Gemara's words are, if someone does not have the requirements for 2 mitzvot, should he refrain from performing the 1 mitzvah that he has? So the Rambam, however, argued, and he says that both parts of the set of tefillin serve one purpose, and therefore they should be counted as 1 mitzvah among, right, the 613. So the Ramban, Nachmanides, argues on the Rambam. The Rambam says it's 2 mitzvot. The Ramban, Nachmanides, says it's 1. What about Totafot ornaments? So in 3 places, the Torah refers to the tefillin as Totafot, right? That's on the right on the head. So he says like this. Right? He says, the Talmud notes that it is an unusual word and therefore it explains the etymology. He says the word tot in Katafi language means 2. And the word fot in African dialect means 2. So as just like Rashi explains in the Torah. So the Hebrew word totafot means 2 plus 2, alluding to the fact that the tefillin placed on the head has 4 compartments, right? Which is going to have 4 separate scrolls. Rashi cites another interpretation from Menachem ibn Saruk. The letters of the word fot, right, refer to the word hatef, which means to speak. The idea is that when we see the tefillin on our hands, we will be inspired to speak about the ideas written in the scrolls that they contain. The Ramban agreed with this interpretation, although the Ibn Ezra rejected it. The Ramban noted, as well, the Gemara explains that Totafot is an ornament, which is worn across the forehead. He commented that the authors of the Gemara were expert in Hebrew language, and if this was what they really meant, it behooves us to accept their opinion. This is likewise the opinion of the Tosafot and the Rosh. Support for this interpretation is also found in the Midrash Called Totafot, right? Which explains Totafot is a Norman word on the head, citing the Gemara where it says Perecha chavosh alecha. Fasten your Totafot on you. And the Torah Tamima added that the Targum in many places words Totafot as ornaments, as jewelry, as is brought down in Shemuel and Yecheskel. The Chizkuni explained that the word Totafot means something to be gazed upon, that you look at it. Citing a proof from the Gemara that it says that you're always going to look at the Tefillin, you're going to remember about the miracles that happened and that we left in Mitzrayim. This interpretation is also brought down in Tosafot and the Rosh. The Ketava Kabbalah also asserts that Tosafot, right, that Totafot is a synonym to Ot, and both words mean a sign. So Ot and Ot, basically we're talking about signs. We know that the Tefillin is actually called a sign, and that's why in Shabbat you don't put it on, but Shabbat is already an Oti Benu V'nechem. Okay, so by placing the Tefillin on the arm across the heart, we affirm that we're subject our desires and emotions to the wills of Hashem, and by placing the tefillin on the head, also we're doing our soul, our neshama, and our brains to Hashem as well. So in summary, the word Totafot is interpreted 2 plus 2, speech, ornament worn on the head, gazing, meaning that you look at it, and a sign. Those are the 5 different explanations of what is Totafot. What about the word tefillin? Because we just learned about Totafot. What about tefillin? Tosafot wrote that the word tefillin, right, is related to the word pilul, which means to judge and to verify. Right? They bring down a Gemara, right? Pinchas proved himself to Hashem. The tefillin testify and verify that the wearer is someone who gives allegiance to Hashem. The Rosh and the Tur concur with this interpretation. Based on this, Tosfot Yom Tov asserted that the letter Lamed in the word tefillin must be pronounced with a dagesh, since the root word has 2 letters Lamed, meaning many times in the Hebrew language, if you have, right, pei Lamed Lamed, and then you're only putting 1 lamed because 1 lamed dropped because it's tefillin with 1 lamed, so it has a dagesh chazak. So you need a very strong dagesh to show you that. But for example, v'chonenu. Chonenu comes from the lashon chanan. Chanan is chet nun nun. Okay, now when you put chonenu, that's for us. We don't say chonenenu, right? Because chanan, which is a shortish, and then nu for us, we say chonenu. So because 1 nun is dropped, you have a dagesh chazak in the first nun. And that's why we do a honenu, not chanenu. Because when you have a kamatz, right, the o, with the dagesh chazak in the next one, it becomes an o, not an a. So it's honenu, right? Why? Because the dagesh is going to be because you dropped one of the letters of the shortish. The Bet David disagree with this interpretation since the word pilul means judging, but not testimony or proof. Therefore, he suggested the word tefillin is based upon the word peliyah, which means distinction or separation. And the tefillin signify that a Jew is separate from a different than all other nationalities, and therefore divine presence, right, rests upon Jews and no on other people. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu requested in Shemot, right, that we are going to be separate. Rav Moshe Zakut and Kol HaRemes suggested that the source for the term of tefillin in Bereshit, right, filalti, right, the words means thinking. So the appropriate for tefillin, since Halacha demands that as long as you're wearing the tefillin, you always have to think about the tefillin. Rav Yaakov Emtin also agreed with this, right, adding the judges are called pelinim. He says, but they think and concentrate on the case before giving a judgment. And Rabbi David Pardo commented that this concurs with Rashi's interpretation also, that Adak also interpreted the word filalti, though he says it means judging, along the same line as Tosafot. So it comes out it's a machloket. Is it judging or not? Rabbi Elmaleh suggested that the term tefillin is based upon the word niflah, which means hidden, right? So he says he showed several examples in the Torah also, and this is an appropriate term since the tefillin are supposed to be kept covered and hidden from view while wearing them. Another suggestion is going to be the term is based upon Pele, which is a miracle, right? So he brings down a pasuk, and then he says this is appropriate since we are tefillin, right? In order to remind ourselves of the miracles that Hashem actually did for us. Rav David Pardo rejected all the above interpretation since they all ignore the letter tav in the word tefillin. Therefore, he suggested that it means tefillah. He based this on the Rambam's ruling that although mitzvah applies all day long, it is important to fulfill it during the time one prays. So tefillah. So again, how many different interpretations? You had number 1, tosafot, which means to testify and verify. You had peliyah, right? And therefore, that's why he says that if it's going to be like that, it's like with the dagesh in it. You have peliyah, which is distinction and separation. You have thinking, you have hidden, and then you have a miracle, and then you have prayer. So that's the last one. So 6. So you have 6 different interpretations. What exactly does it mean? The word tefillin, right? Obviously, the nafkamina will be with the dagesh or not. And this is again, right, the entire concept of the beauty of what we have, the tefillin and the totafot, as we already mentioned today. Have a wonderful day.